"Is everything all right for you?" asked the waiter. "Yes, everything's fine for us," smiled Macy, "except for good company." The waiter seemed slightly embarrassed, coughed, smiled, and hurriedly left the room. "Well," said Macy, "now we can fully relax." Ilona watched with concern as Macy indulged in one glass after another. "Maybe that's enough?" she asked. "Only on the third glass. I won't be able to join your party, my daughter is sleeping," sighed Macy. "Life in a city like San Diego is just beginning." "Let go, stop being such a boring nag, take Remy and go for a walk," retorted Ilona. "You're just crazy." "Remy is asleep, I won't wake her up," snapped Macy, heading to her room to change clothes. Soon she emerged, dressed in a black dress, and waved goodbye. "Don't wait up for me until morning, I'm planning to have a blast." "Good luck," sarcastically wished Ilona, closing the door behind her friend. Lying on the bed, she decided to check her phone. Not a single message call, not even a question about her well-being. Despite Macy's claims of having a fun night, she didn't show up until midnight, if not later. Ilona started to worry and decided to call. But Macy didn't answer. 5 minutes later, a photo arrived from Macy with an attractive stranger. "Who's this?" asked Ilona, adding, "Don't bring him here, I won't let him in." The response came quickly. "Don't be a coward, Max is a great guy, he'll get into the hotel even without you, don't worry." Suddenly, Remy started stirring in the crib and began to cry. Ilona left her phone and hurried to her daughter, who was already awake and crying. "What's wrong, sweetie? Are you hungry?" Ilona picked her up, gave her some water, and rocked her. Thankfully, it helped, and Remy fell back asleep. Ilona realized she had to forget about her friend and lay down next to her daughter. When she opened her eyes, the sun was already shining brightly through the window, a new day had begun. She glanced at her daughter still asleep, playing with her hands in her sleep, apparently seeing something interesting and trying to catch it. Ilona smiled and went to the kitchen to make coffee. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. "Open up, it's me." Finally, Macy's back, thought Ilona, and unlocked the door. At the threshold stood a tired but contented Macy, holding her high-heeled shoes in her hands. "Hey, how did you sleep?" asked Ilona. "Not very well," replied Macy. "I was worried about you. But it wasn't necessary." "I'm fine," continued Macy, sniffing the coffee. It smells amazing. Pour me a cup." "Sure, I brewed enough for both of us," Ilona happily replied. Swaying a little from tiredness, Macy approached the counter, took a sip, and exclaimed, "You won't believe who I met. I'll tell you all the details now." "Please, don't shout like that," pleaded Ilona. "Remy is still sleeping." "Oh, sorry." "Listen, I stopped by one of the most famous local bars just to relax, people watch. And this guy, quite handsome, approached me. You can't imagine, we talked for a long time. He said he doesn't usually do this, but wanted to meet me for some reason. And you know, he's really a nice guy, and it seems like he works as a director, but I didn't ask for details. If he's genuinely a good guy, I'm happy for you," smiled Ilona. "But I wouldn't rush to conclusions about him based only on one day of acquaintance." "I'm not rushing, it's just. You should have seen how caring and attentive he was, almost like us," remarked Macy. "Well," admitted Ilona, "but that doesn't mean he'll always be like that. And most importantly, you didn't mention if he's in a relationship. I suggested Max to bring his friend today, and you'll come with me too, we're having dinner at a nice place." "What? What about Remy?" protested Ilona. "I mentioned you have a daughter, and they're okay with it. So, we'll take her with us." "Did you not consider that I'm married and not interested in meeting someone, right?" Macy got angry. "Firstly, I'm not suggesting you go on a date with him, just get to know him. Secondly, maybe it's worth considering the future. Because, to be honest, chase your fool, something's off with him. You haven't checked his phone, especially when he's late from work, you haven't checked," Ilona put forth. "What are you implying? You think he's cheating on me? You think he's not interested in me, or Remy, or how many times he called yesterday?" Ilona concurred. "But that doesn't prove anything. I haven't noticed anything suspicious, no perfume scents, no late-night calls, nothing like that." "Well, Maybe he's just good at hiding it. Maybe the spark between us has faded. Maybe we need to try to reignite it, Macy said, chuckling. You're a beautiful, intelligent woman. Your husband doesn't appreciate you at all. Let's go for dinner, no need to go somewhere special, you don't even have to leave your number, just expand your circle, maybe network effects. Very beneficial. Alright, agreed, but what should I wear? Ilona asked. Even a sweater and jeans would do, but I can give you a dress. I have one that'll suit you, it's blue for evenings. Let's try it, Macy suggested. The dress fit perfectly, as if it were tailored specifically for Ilona. She looked at herself in the mirror and couldn't help but smile. A light blush appeared on her face. Yes, indeed, relaxation, a trip to the hair salon, and shopping can work wonders. Ilona picked up her cosmetics case and began applying makeup diligently. Suddenly, her phone came alive with a message. Hi, how are you doing? Finally showing some interest, Ilona smirked and promptly replied. Everything's great, getting ready for a stroll. You'll be in San Diego until Sunday, right? Yeah, exactly, arriving on Sunday at 4:40 p.m. Anything special? I'll check the schedule, maybe we can meet up. At that moment, Macy entered the room exclaiming, Wow, that looks perfect on you, maybe a touch of lipstick. Nope, just the dress and mascara will do. So, do you think we have enough time until evening? Can we make a quick stop at the beach? Ilona agreed, heading towards her daughter Remy, who had just woken up. The day flew by brightly and peacefully. Ilona and Remy thoroughly enjoyed swimming in the sea and relaxing, settling on the beach under a large umbrella. Chase no longer caused concern for Ilona, but doubts tormented her. Had she chosen the right path? Why are you so worried? Macy inquired. It's just a dinner and some socializing at a crowded restaurant. I'm sure your husband has been in such situations before. Yes, perhaps you're right, Ilona agreed. Suggest such a thing to you. Well, let's try, it will be interesting, you won't regret it. As the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, Ilona, Remy, and Macy returned to the hotel to change. The preparation went smoothly. Ilona chose the same blue dress again, and she found a stylish beige jumpsuit for her daughter. Macy surprised everyone by selecting a bright red dress. Wow, you look absolutely stunning, praised Ilona. Thanks for the compliment, Macy joyfully responded. That's exactly the effect I was going for. So, the taxi is already waiting for us, let's go. The restaurant stood directly by the sea, in the most beautiful spot overlooking the mountains. Bright lights were shining everywhere, as if the night was just beginning its conquest. Macy took Ilona's hand and led her inside, scanning the tables in search of her new acquaintance. Finally, she spotted him and waved. Max, noticing Macy, immediately got up and headed toward them. Hello, so glad to see you. I've chosen a table by the window. Hello, Max, smiled Ilona and Remy, sitting at the table. And this is Parker, my friend, introduced Max. Ilona awkwardly waved, then took her seat, arranging Remy. Macy, can I have a little alcohol? Max asked. Sure, agreed Macy. Yesterday, you didn't want to take a walk, but today you agreed. How do you like San Diego to relax and unwind? It's a great place, confirmed Parker, Max's friend. I'm not here for long, but it's a wonderful place to relax. Where are you from? Macy asked. From Washington. And you, by any chance, from the same city? Yes, confirmed Parker. We're from New York, said Ilona, delving into the menu. Let's order something, Parker suggested. I was here last week, the cuisine here is simply amazing. I especially recommend the steak, it's excellent here. Ilona, will you have the steak? Macy asked, flipping through the menu. Yes, I think so, smiled Ilona. And I'll have some tea, added Parker. And I'll have coffee, why is everyone so serious, chuckled Max. Although I'll also have coffee, I'm driving. And I'll choose some sushi, announced Macy, glancing at Max. Once the food choices were made, an easy conversation began. Max shared his decision to move to San Diego 5 years ago, avoiding the fatigue of the cold winters in Washington. Ilona noticed how Macy looked at him with sparkling eyes, immediately sensing that her friend was in love. "And what about you thinking of moving?" Macy asked Parker. "No, I have too much going on in Washington, everything is centered there. It wouldn't work to work remotely." "And what do you do if it's not a secret?" Parker inquired. "I manage hotels. It's still in the early stages, but there's plenty of work," replied Ilona. "And you, Ilona?" They turned to her. "What do you do?" "At the moment, I'm on maternity leave," Ilona replied, pointing to her daughter happily playing with a toy on a child's chair. A few hours later, dinner concluded, and Parker ordered a taxi for Ilona and Macy back to the hotel. "No adventures. See you tomorrow," Max asked quietly, seeing them off. "Of course, we'll definitely keep in touch," Ilona replied. She was about to get into the car, but Parker gently took her hand. "It was nice meeting you, and your daughter is so sweet," Parker said. "Thank you," Ilona smiled. "I'm glad we met too." Without waiting for any further questions, Ilona helped her daughter into the car and took her seat. Macy walked around the car and sat in the front seat. "Let's go," said the driver, starting the engine. Upon arriving at the hotel and returning to their room, Macy began questioning Ilona about the evening. "How was it with Max and Parker?" Macy asked. "I think everything went fine. You and Max look good together," Ilona replied. "But how do you plan to continue the relationship if we'll be leaving soon?" Macy inquired. "I haven't thought about that yet, I don't know. Just considering options. At the moment, I want to stay in San Diego for at least a month. We'll see after that," Ilona answered, surprised, looking at her friend. "Where will you live?" Macy continued questioning. "First, I'll rent an apartment. And then maybe Max will suggest I move in with him. And if not, don't assume the worst. What about Parker?" Macy asked. "Nice guy, but our interests don't align. I'm married, Macy, and I won't continue communication if he tries to contact me. After all, you have Chase. I don't know what's going on there, maybe something will happen," Ilona replied. "Let's forget about it, but I really liked Parker. And I'll say it again, don't set me up with anyone. If I needed someone else, I would have told you," Ilona reassured. "I hope the vacation will lead Chase and me to understanding. We have a daughter together, we'll have to find compromises," concluded Ilona. Macy's words startled Ilona. She barked so loudly at her friend that Remay flinched and dropped the toy she was holding. "Sorry, sweetie," Ilona addressed her daughter. "Why did you do that?" Macy asked. "Stop, both of you. I'm very tired, I'm going to bed. He won't write to you. You didn't even say a proper goodbye to him. Forget about it. Good night." Macy closed the door behind her, and Ilona picked up her daughter. "It's time for you to sleep, sweetheart. You're not hungry," Ilona comforted Remay, who looked tired. Ilona put her on the big bed and lay down next to her. "What does she think she's doing?" Macy continued to fume. "And me too. Why did she go there and allow herself to convince herself? What if Chase finds out that I'm here on vacation, talking to men at cafes? He's working there, earning money for us, and what am I doing? I promised myself not to do this again." Ilona closed her eyes and allowed fatigue to take over. Sleep came almost instantly. Several hours later, Ilona was jolted awake by her daughter's cries and turned on the light. Remai was all red. "Oh God, what is this?" Ilona panicked and rushed to the suitcase where the first aid kit was kept. Finding the thermometer, Ilona placed it on her daughter and stroked her hair, waiting for the temperature readings. Finally, the beep sounded. 37.3 degrees temperature. Not too high, Ilona scrutinized the spots attentively and clenched her teeth. The allergy had returned, probably due to the local flora and fauna. But there was a problem: the medication that always helped was left at home. Ilona grabbed Remai and dashed to the reception desk. "Good morning, my daughter has an allergy. Could you please tell me where the nearest pharmacy is?" Ilona asked the staff. "Hello, it's just a block away. Can we assist with anything else?" they offered. "What happened? Should we call an ambulance?" "No, I just need to go to the pharmacy. She has an allergy, it's happened before. I just need tablets if it doesn't get worse soon." "Wait a minute, our staff member will guide you to the pharmacy," Ilona replied, hugging Remai and reproaching herself. What were you thinking, Ilona? How could you forget allergy medication on a trip to San Diego? You remember about the stomach but forget about the allergy. Maybe I should have taken it. You're a mother, but what? A fantastic one, to be honest. A tall guy in a suit met Ilona in the lobby. I'll escort you, let's go, the pharmacy is very close, he said. However, after 5 minutes, it became clear that it wasn't so simple. The first pharmacy didn't have the necessary medicine. The same in the second one. And the third. The escort shrugged. Maybe we should call a doctor after all, even if it's not very dangerous for her. Let the doctors provide the necessary medication. Ilona nodded, and they hurried back to the hotel. The doctor will arrive soon, the guy said. We provided what's needed. My advice: return home as soon as possible and undergo a course of treatment far from all blooming things. The girl will feel better in her familiar home environment. Okay, I'll buy the tickets right away, Ilona replied. Rimai, seemingly under a magical spell, appeared to be better, but Ilona was resolute in her intentions. Upon returning to the room, she met Ned at the door. With Macy's help, Ilona quickly summarized the situation. I'll take care of your things, Macy exclaimed anxiously. You take the ticket. We're going to the airport. In 3-4 hours you'll be home. The flight went smoothly. Rimai slept soundly in her seat, allowing Ilona to feel a sense of peace as she flipped through a magazine, occasionally glancing at her daughter. After landing, Ilona called for a taxi and hurried home. Amidst her concern for her daughter, she hadn't even thought to notify her husband of her return. It was only when she got closer to home that she remembered. Just 4 hours, he's at work. I'll send him a message. Let him call the clinic and schedule an appointment for Rimai, Ilona decisively said. Entering the elevator and pressing the button for the desired floor, Ilona was surprised to sense that something was amiss. The aroma of baking filled the hallway leading to her apartment. Dropping her keys and not bothering to remove her shoes, she opened the door and headed towards the living room. Chase was home, but not alone. What's going on here? Ilona pondered, stumbling upon a pair of women's sneakers. It took Ilona a moment to process what was happening. It was only when Chase, slightly dressed down, intercepted her that she noticed a young woman in a silk blue robe behind him. Oops, the girl uttered upon seeing Ilona standing by the entrance to the living room. Chase didn't say a word. His face displayed a mix of surprise and irritation. What are you doing here today? He addressed his companion, Lena. Go to the room, please, I'll sort this out, Chase added. Ilona pushed her husband aside and escorted her daughter into the room, seating her in a chair. Turning to her husband, she blurted out, What is going on? Have you lost your mind? Why did you invite this woman into our home? What home of yours? Chase was astonished. Is this your home? I thought it was mine. After all, I bought it with my money, he growled, struggling with his emotions. Ilona couldn't find words. She sat at the edge of the couch and stared into the distance, as if wishing that all this would turn out to be just a silly dream. Perhaps I'm still in San Diego, and this is just a dream after a stroll along the promenade, she meditated. Ilona pinched herself, but she realized it was reality. A dreadful reality. Macy had warned her about something being wrong. Why hadn't she listened? Why did she believe that things could still work out between her and her husband? Fine, Ilona said softly. If so, then leave. You were going to do something with this. Leave. Chase slammed the door, approached Ilona so close that he could speak quietly but still be heard. But no, you're not kicking me out of my apartment. Understand. I consulted with specialists, and here's the deal. This apartment is 100% mine. So pack your things. And since you've decided to come back and mess everything up, gather them right now. What mess up? Rimai wasn't feeling well, her allergy worsened. We returned earlier, and I'm glad. How long have you been deceiving me, Chase? Ilona tried to explain. Chase ignored the question. He was interested in something else. Take Rimai and leave, I'll arrange custody through the court, and we'll determine when I can see her. That's it. There's nothing more to discuss. You're leaving, and I'm not. The child is sick, she needs a doctor. It's already evening. Where are we going now? What's wrong with her? Chase said, looking at his daughter. She's right here, smiling, and you look at her face and hands. I won't deal with this. Don't try to manipulate the child, I won't allow it. I've said everything. If you're still here in half an hour, I'll call the police. Ilona shouted and walked into the hallway where the suitcase stood. Pasia, you're not right, it's your fault. You didn't pay attention to him, forgot that he's a man. Look at yourself, Chase interjected. Leave and don't interfere. How old are you? Don't try to tell me what to do. Do you think you'll live peacefully with Chase? I won't allow you to meddle in my personal life, Ilona replied, picking up her daughter and pushing the suitcase onto the landing. The dissatisfied screams of the offended lover reached her. If you interfere, I'll pull out your hair. Ilona hurried to the elevator. Chase slammed the door loudly, and in the silence of the entrance hall, Ilona heard their conversation. Chase was trying to calm his girlfriend, promising that it would never happen again. Ilona is not a hindrance now. Let this not dream of peace. I will be a hindrance from now on, she fumed. What to do now? Where to go? Macy is still in San Diego, another friend with a little child. I can't go to them, my parents are in another city. Ilona went out onto the street, sat on a bench, and took her phone. She called her friend Macy. Yes, go to a quiet place, Ilona shouted, hearing loud music. I will, just a moment, Macy replied. What's wrong, did something happen with Ramai? How was the flight? Macy asked. No, it's about Chase. Ilona recounted everything, and Macy was shocked into silence. Why did you leave? It's your home too, Macy asserted. I couldn't stay with them there. Ramai got scared because of the argument. And Chase said something about the apartment not being mine, that he discussed it with someone. Is that even legal? What should I do? Go and file a complaint. I'll think about where you can stay, I'll call you back. I won't go anywhere until I find something, I'm tired. Ramai needs medication, and I forgot to take it. I'm sitting here on the bench. You've got your daughter in your arms, not a bench, Macy reminded her. Wait, I'll book a hotel room and call a taxi. You're not in your own home anymore. Wait, the car will arrive soon, I'll call you again. Bye for now. Ilona didn't know how much time had passed before the phone rang. She picked it up. Yes. The taxi will arrive, get in. Do you have your passport? Great. You have a hotel room for a week to gather yourself. We'll think about the next steps later. Understood. I'll come by tomorrow. Hang in there, I'm with you. Max is fine without me, you need support. And Essems notified her of the car's arrival. My car has arrived, I'm getting in. Thank you, Macy, I didn't expect. Everything will be fine, even better. Chase will regret it, but it'll be too late. See you at the hotel. Ilona realized what had happened, and anger flooded her. She paced around the room, cursing her husband with her final words. So, he doesn't need a daughter or a wife. He wants to take the apartment. It won't work. I need a lawyer. My daughter won't stay on the streets. Despite the nightmare, her daughter felt better. Ilona found the necessary medication at the pharmacy. After half an hour, Ramai's redness subsided, and she played with blocks, occasionally making sounds. The phone rang, a message from her husband. Come to the lawyer's office tomorrow at the address I'll send. Don't think you can take the child and everything from me. Nothing will work in your favor. Waiting in the office, you can't avoid this. Ilona passed on the message to Macy. Her friend replied. I'm on my way, we'll be there soon. You won't go to any lawyer alone. Don't even think about it. Taking off in a few minutes. Hang in there, I'll be with you soon. Sending hugs and kisses. After a while, Macy was already seated at the table in the spacious hotel room, embracing a crying Ilona, trying to comfort her. It was evident that Ilona was deeply saddened. He was constantly staying late at work, sometimes absent even on weekends. They said there was an urgent project, but I didn't even notice any signs. Ilona tried to explain to Macy. No one wants to believe the worst, Macy reassured. Do you think you didn't notice any signals? Remember Louis, he was an even more cunning type. The most important thing now is for you to find somewhere to live. And please, be decisive. Don't give in to him. You must stand up for yourself and your daughter. You need to find a new place. Yes, but he explicitly said that I can't even count on anything. You signed something on papers. Perhaps he arranged something there. Ilona cryptically remarked. What's the deal with your apartment? Who is the owner? It's all tangled. His mom bought the apartment and gave it to me as a gift. Are you saying his mom didn't consider this, Macy? You bought it before Ramai arrived. Yes, but he handled everything, and I was naive and stupid, didn't even think about objections. It can't be, Macy, exclaimed Ilona, banging her hands on the table. Do you think he'll take everything for himself? Damn it. Both of us are registered there. No, how can this be? Ramai lives with my parents. He promised to legalize it soon, but it never happened. We were constantly arguing or something else happened. And here's the result. Friend, are you out of your mind? Exclaimed Macy. Perhaps yes, Ilona sadly nodded. Right now, I don't even understand how I could have allowed this. Half an hour later, Macy was still agitated. She alternated between sitting at the table and suddenly jumping up, as if stung. This is complete absurdity. I'm going to write to Max. He knows a lawyer. No, not Parker, another one. Perhaps he'll advise something, Macy suggested to Ilona. No, it's necessary, Macy insisted. Do you mean to defend that jerk? No way, you need to squeeze out of him everything you possibly can, she said, although saying it was easier than doing it. The next day, Ilona put on her black suit, which she inexplicably brought along on vacation, and tied her hair up in a high bun. I'm ready, I think, she whispered. Macy met her at the hotel exit. There stood an unfamiliar man. Hello, this is Denny, the lawyer. Now we're going, Macy said. In the office, Ilona met Chase, who looked surprised when she entered with a group of lawyers. Chase, I'm sure there was no less than 600,000 in our accounts, and some of it is mine. What are these supposed to be your funds? Ilona protested. What's 600,000? Have you gone crazy? There's nothing there. You spent it all sitting at home doing nothing. And for the trip to San Diego, where do you think the money came from? Chase retorted.